You were only 12, his mother managed to say through her sobs. You were only 12. It was after that everything started with you. It was after that you started getting into trouble. Luca sighed and toyed with one of his meatballs on his plate. You didn't mean to do it, his mother said, her voice barely above a whisper. That's all I want to say. I blame myself for all of it. It wasn't your fault. Luca got up from the table and started for the bathroom. His head was pounding, and he knew it was one of those headaches that would last all night unless he took something. Aspirin weren't likely to help much, but even a little was worth trying. Before he made it to the bathroom, though, he stopped and went back to his mother, where she was sobbing again with her head in her arms, her plate of pasta pushed aside. He touched her shoulders as if he were about to massage her. Do you remember our neighbor? He asked. The guy who lived across the hall from us? Under his hands, he felt his mother's slowly stiffen, her body stiffen. Mr. Lowry, she said. He was a high school teacher. That's right. How'd he die? He waited a moment and then said, Oh, right, he fell off the roof. That's right, isn't it, Ma? That's right, his mother whispered. I hardly knew him. Luca smoothed his mother's hair again and then left her and went to the bathroom where he found a bottle of squibs in the medicine cabinet. He took out 3 aspirin, popped them in his mouth, and then closed the medicine cabinet door and looked at himself in the mirror. He never liked his looks, the way his brow protruded over deep-set eyes. He looked like a fucking ape man. His mother was wrong about it being an accident. He had intended to kill his father. The 2x4 was out in the hallway because he had left it there. He already made the decision to beat his father's skull the next time the old man punched his mother or knocked Luca across the room or kicked him in the balls, which is something he liked to do and then laugh about it while Luca moaned and whimpered. He did these things, though, only when he was drunk. When he wasn't drunk, he was nice to Luca and Luca's mom. He'd take them down to the docks and show them where he worked. Once he took them out in the water on somebody's sailboat, he put his arm around Luca's shoulder and called him his big boy. Luca almost wished the good stuff had never happened, because the old man was drunk a whole lot, and nobody could put up with him like that. And if there wasn't that other side of him, then maybe Luca wouldn't have dreams where his father was always coming back. It made him tired, the dreams and the little flashes of memory that were always popping up. His mother naked from the waist down and her blouse torn open, exposing the shiny white skin of her belly, swollen taut and round as if she crawled away from his father on the floor, bleeding where he'd already stabbed her. The old man crawling after her with a carving knife, screaming he'd cut it out of her and feed it to the dogs. All that blood in her round, white belly swollen, and then the old man's bloody head when Luca laid him out in the 2x4. His father was out cold with the first blow to the back of the head, and then Luca stood over him and wailed on him until there was nothing left in the air but blood and screams. And then the police, and a day's hospital, and a funeral for the infant brother who'd never make it out of the womb alive. The funeral while Luca was still in the hospital before he could come home. He'd never gone back to school after that. He only made it as far as the 5th grade, and then he was working in the factories and then on the docks before they moved to New York, where he worked in the rail yards. And that was something he didn't like about himself. He was ugly and stupid. Only he wasn't so stupid. He looked at himself in the mirror. He watched his own dark eyes. Look at you now, he thought. And he meant that he had more money than he knew how to spend, and he ran a small, tight gang that everybody in the city feared. Even the biggest of the hotshots, Gatsby Mariposa. Even Mariposa was scared of Luca Brasi, so he wasn't so stupid. He closed his eyes, and the throbbing in the back of his head filled up to the darkness. And in that throbbing darkness, he remembered the rooftop on Rhode Island, where he had lured their neighbor, Mr. Lowry, the teacher. Luca had told him he had a secret to share, and once they were up on the roof, he had pushed him over. He remembered him falling, the way his arms stretched out, and on the way down as though someone might yet take his hand and save him. He remembered him landing on the roof of a car. And it caved in, the window glass shattered like an explosion. In the bathroom, Luca ran some water in his cupped hands, and then he washed his face. It felt cool and smooth, his hair and his wet hands, and then went back into the kitchen, where his mother had already cleaned the table and was standing in front of the sink with her back to him, washing the dishes. Listen, Ma, Luca said. He massaged her shoulders gently. Outside, the evening was fading into light. He flipped on the kitchen lights. Listen, Ma, I gotta go. His mother nodded without looking up from her work. Luca approached her again and smoothed her hair. Don't worry about me, Ma, he said. I can take care of myself, can't I? Sure, his mother said, her voice barely audible over the running water. Sure you can, Luca. That's right, Luca said. He kissed her on the top of the head, and then found his jacket and hat on the hall tree next to the door, He slipped onto his jacket, settled the hat on his head, and tilting the brim over his forehead. "All right, Ma," he said. "I'm going." With her back to him still, without looking up from the dishes, his mother nodded.